Hey everybody, this is R. Felix Finch here with my buddy Barrett Tribe. I call him Quest. But we're going to talk to you about the event we just left, WWE's Hell in a Cell 2018. So we're not going to talk about what we feel about the show till the end.
Right.
We're going to
do it in order.
Yeah, we're going to do it in order. So what are we starting out with?
So the only pre-show match was New Day versus Rusev Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Originally it was on the main card, and they moved it down to the pre-show. I don't know what got bumped out, probably some 205 Live cruiserweight thing. But I like that match.
It was fun, and except for one thing, which to me, again, it's the ending of it. Like, I just feel like New Day doesn't need to have those titles. Rusev and English should have them. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not the guy in the office. But, I mean, the crowd was solidly behind Rusev Day.
Yeah, I would say it was probably like 60-40, but they were popping for not just Rusev, but also Aiden. They ended up doing what are we doing? We're confused in the corner. We're messing this up, which is probably going to lead to eventual breakup of these two characters, which stinks because they are probably two of the most over characters and most over act overall in the mid-card right now, and they could make a lot of money with these guys.
And on top of that, I mean, there was a really cool spot with Aiden English doing the Acolyte.
Yeah, that was fun. And his like top rope splash, his press, where he like really arcs his back.
Yeah, he's a long, skinny boy.
He is. He's in really good shape too. But I mean, Rusev looked like an animal in that match. I would have liked to have seen more Rusev, Big E, one-on-one.
Oh stuff. Yeah, that was cool when you got the house battle between those two teams.
Yeah, but I really would have liked more of that. And I mean, that's a money match too. That's a money match, and they're not doing it.
Yep. All right. So now we go to the pay-per-view proper, which begins with Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton in Hell in a Cell. And what's funny is I've met the one guy that doesn't give a fuck about Jeff Hardy.
Well, I mean, I used to have super strong opinions about Jeff Hardy. I hated Jeff Hardy. Now, enough time has passed, and he's putting in enough work that I'm like, he's just not for me. But in 2005, 2006, when he wrestled in Ring of Honor at that one show in New Jersey, I was at that show, I booed the fuck out of him. And I also chanted, "We want Matt," because I did. I'm a Matt Hardy guy. I'm not a Jeff Hardy guy. And I don't like Randy Orton particularly either. So it was a match of two people that I don't care about. I don't think either of them is particularly great.
I just didn't think this match had to be in Hell in a Cell. I mean, to get that finish it had to be, but there was one thing though that everybody agreed was one of the most gruesome things we've ever seen. You don't even have pierced ears.
I did. I used to have transverse lobe piercings, and I had industrial. So I've had a lot of piercings. I used to have two in my tongue. I wanted to do the stretched lobes because my lobes are already enormous, but I didn't. And seeing Randy Orton putting that screwdriver through his ear and just twisting it, and me knowing honestly that it's no big deal. You can yank on earlobes, you can twist them around, no big deal. But it looked horrible. And I watch horror movies all the time, and I was like, ugh.
Your wife does a horror podcast.
Yeah, she does. And I was seriously like starting to get ill. I was starting to feel my Jason's Deli dinner that we had on the way here coming up. I was like, this is more than I can handle, which is really crazy. I can handle a lot.
Yeah, again, that was like an entire crowd thing, though. Like, it wasn't just you.
Everybody.
No, yeah, people were averting their gaze from that.
It was very like, oh, stop it. And they just kept going. So I do give him credit on that for not pulling away from this really interesting, brand new moment. If you're hearing a beep right now, we're in the parking lot immediately following the show. It's been maybe 10 minutes since the main event ended.
Yeah, which we'll get to eventually. But
the end of that match.
Yeah, the end of that match. By the way, there was a really gross looking part with Randy Orton basically flapjacking Jeff Hardy onto the middle of a ladder that was open upside down.
Oh, that was interesting. Yeah, like he scissored him into it. And it was Jeff who set it up that way. And I was like, yeah, scissor cutting into Jeff. And you said scissors beat Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, oh man, it was
It was a good spot. It was a fun spot.
It was a fun spot, and again, the crowd kind of liked it. It's a weird match to starting off with a Hell in a Cell match is really weird.
Well, the book ended the show.
I mean, yeah, they bookend the show, but I mean, having the stage set with because it didn't feel like a warm up. Granted, we did have the tag team match,
Yeah,
to really warm us up. But on the pay-per-view proper, if you're watching this at home, it's an interesting way to open. But anyway, let's get to the next match on the card.
Well, no, let's talk about the finish of that match
yeah,
real
good
quick.
point.
So the finish was Jeff setting up small ladder next to big ladder next to a table, putting Randy on the table, climbing with small ladder, getting on large ladder, and then from the large ladder climbing up to the
monkey bars.
Basically, he did an Ultimate X spot essentially. Ultimate X in TNA eventually turned into like two cross beams that were very solid. I've seen a lot of wrestling shows. I was in Florida for a little while and I got to see an Ultimate X match. So I got to see people crawling on beams like that and doing crazy moves off them. And he did this interesting like swing back and forth and then drop on Randy, but Randy had already gone off the table. Jeff took a pretty hard looking bump on his face.
Yeah, that was weird because it looked like face ate table.
and then the ref didn't want to count the finish because Jeff was out, but I was like, you have to.
Yeah, they were raising
job.
They were raising the cage for a Hell in a Cell, which was really weird because the pinfall hadn't happened yet, and that won't be the weirdest thing to happen in a Hell in a Cell match tonight.
But that was a good match. It might be my favorite singles Jeff Hardy match I've ever seen. I'll say that. I liked it better than his ladder match against The Undertaker by a long shot.
Definitely better than Slammiversary against Sting.
The less said about that, the better.
All right.
Next up was our first women's match of the night, which was Charlotte versus Becky. The internet is all abuzz about Becky Lynch and her shot at being a champion, being taken away from her by, in the Smark sense, bad writing. And in a Mark sense, her friend stealing the shot by getting involved in a title match.
Yeah, and I don't think it was bad writing because honestly, I cared more about this match than I did about Becky Lynch winning it from Carmella. This meant a lot more.
It did.
Her winning it here, and the crowd agreed. The crowd agreed so hard.
If they had written that a little bit different, they could have had what they wanted, which was heel Becky and face Charlotte. But they didn't write it correctly. They made it... It was written in a way that you could easily draw the conclusion that Charlotte was the problem. Charlotte weaseled her way into the match and then stole it. If the idea had been, we need to get this title off of Carmella no matter what, she doesn't deserve it, let's work together to get it, and then she steals a win there, or Becky steals a win from Charlotte, or whatever, then you have like your clear heel and face. But I don't know, Becky was right. And this match was good. This match was strong.
Oh yeah, this was a lot of fun to watch. Like again, especially because the crowd was reacting. The crowd loved Becky Lynch.
They did.
They were all about the last kicker.
There were some Charlotte fans out there, but it was definitely more like an 80-20 or 90-10% crowd pro Charlotte. Like it was mostly Becky. And I just rewatched Becky versus Sasha from NXT.
Okay.
And it was very similar to that match. I think Charlotte, in some ways, has gotten a little bit sloppy in the ring. I don't like to say too many bad things about her. But there was just a little bit of, like, mushiness in the moves.
Although it made that finish, at first I thought, wow, that is a sloppy spear. But seeing that immediately get reversed into the pinfall by Becky Lynch, I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Oh, and the ending was great, too, because Becky gets the title. Charlotte comes into the ring. I'm expecting Charlotte to, like, go heel, that they were going to do that double turn they were talking about. She goes to get a handshake, and Becky's just like, no, I'm not shaking your hand. I'm out. And she just leaves, and she doesn't really interact with the crowd, even though everybody's cheering for her, which I liked. She shouldn't have to change her character just because people like her. That's one of the big problems with WWE, is they're like, oh, you're a face. You got to start smiling and having a great time with the audience. It's like, no, Stone Cold didn't do that. He was still flipping everybody off.
But he was the kind of guy you could have a beer with.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway, next match on the card was...
the next one was the tag title match for the Raw tag titles. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. This was my pick of the night for a match I was most excited about, and I think it honestly paid off.
it was a long match. It was about 20 minutes. I think it was like 22 minutes. I didn't check Wikipedia or anything.
It was a pretty long match, and they did a lot of cool stuff in it. They had some really great hot tag moments. They had some really good heel moments. Ziggler's a master heel. McIntyre, he plays his part very well.
There's also some comedy in there, too, which is great.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that stood out to me is Drew McIntyre busting out a little bit of that British style where he stands on one hand that Seth Rollins has and takes the other hand and starts just wrenching it back.
And twisting, that wrist lock and then twisting it back. And then just stomping on him because, he's 6'6", why not?
By the way, because I remember Drew McIntyre's first run in WWE, did he grow a foot while he was gone? Because I swear he wasn't that tall when he was
did put on about 60 pounds of muscle, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I swear the height, though, didn't seem like it was quite there.
He's way more intimidating with those shoulders. He looks like Conan. Like, he looks like Superman. He is
the last Highlander.
I don't know if you've seen or if anybody watching this later has seen his work in Evolve, but his Evolve run was stellar and his mic work was second to none. He might have been the best mic worker while in Evolve in America at the time.
He grew a lot from his first run in now. But,
and the finish was unreal. Like, I can't even tell you all the stuff that happened. There were tons of false finishes. Each one was more exciting than the last one.
And they were all believable. Like, if that match would have ended at those, like, it did the thing of a false finish where it tricked me into believing that it was the finish each time.
Yeah, but it
wasn't like an indie one where I'm like, okay, that was just a big move. This seemed like, no, there's no coming back from this.
And they would chain stuff together, too, which is my favorite thing, is to see moves chained together or reversed in ways that make sense. But in the end, the heels did win.
Seth Rollins did his top rope suplex and was rolling it back over. Drew McIntyre gets in and gives a Claymore to him, but it looks like he gives a Claymore to both Seth and Dolph at the same time.
He did. He knocked them both out, and Dolph landed on Seth, and they were both unconscious. And there was a great final image, which I can't wait to see at home later, with Drew holding the two belts on one shoulder while Fireman carrying his tag team partner up the ramp, carrying a limp, unconscious Dolph Ziggler. And this isn't the only time Dolph would end up being unconscious throughout the night either.
It is not. We're going to get to that later.
Teasers. Stay tuned. You're going to find out more.
Next match.
But that was match of the night for me.
It was a lot of fun to watch.
The next match was AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship. It was fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I was kind of disappointed in the match. I feel like it should have been nostalgia just because of how much personal blood there's been here. But on top of that, it wasn't a very exciting match. I'm sure the commentators probably, because of how much story they were able to build over the past few weeks, because this has built a lot outside of the ring.
Yeah, it was.
In a great way. And I feel like the commentators probably dressed it up a lot. But just watching it as a match, it was a pretty simple match. I mean, nothing looked too particularly exciting. Although, like, AJ did a 450, a springboard 450, like 3/4 of the way across the ring.
Yeah, that was good.
That was impressive as hell. And then when Joe got the clutch in, the crowd popped. The crowd was ready for it.
But it ended with a controversial finish.
Yes.
With the coquina clutch. AJ rolls through, Joe's shoulders are down. As is counting 3, AJ's tapping to the coquina clutch. Joe loses his mind. So that's going to lead to another match, obviously. And maybe this one won't have as much of the family story stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm fine with a controversial finish here because I actually want to see this extended because it's just been one of the better dressed feuds. Again, the thing is, I missed that tap until they did the replay. I completely missed that that's what happened.
I saw it, but it wasn't on camera side. So because we were opposite camera, and I was just like, oh, this is just him signaling something to Joe. I didn't think it was him tapping out. I thought it was just like a wrestler, like, hey, we're good, we're going home. But that wasn't what it was. I don't know why it would have been that, but that's what my brain went to. That was an inside baseball thing, but it wasn't. It was him legitimately tapping out to the clutch. But it was the same finish that we had for Shayna Baszler and
and Kairi Sane.
Kairi Sane.
But except Kairi Sane wasn't tapping out. That was just
No, she wasn't.
That was the
She
roll
just
up.
stayed
roll
in this
through.
horrific choke out maneuver to get a pin, and AJ did the same thing, but he did tap at the same time. This match was not as good as the previous match.
It wasn't good as their TNA matches.
Well, I mean, they were 15 years younger than though.
Good.
13 at least. Those, I mean, we can't ever expect that again. I think we got to stop. Because I want that too, but Joe's not there anymore and AJ's not there anymore. And I love those guys. I've been watching them for years, but this is what we're going to get. It was very similar to the previous match, except without the family stuff and without the accidental blood and quite as much like crazy stuff on the outside.
Yeah, there was a few teams, like I didn't mention earlier that with Randy Orton where his leg got split open. There was some blood that happened. Yeah. There was quite a bit of accidental blood tonight. Like people getting which I didn't notice until the referee puts on gloves.
Yeah, that's like the signal when you're at a live show. Yeah. AJ did get mashed in the mouth. So he was bleeding from the mouth too, but it wasn't quite the same.
Yeah. And by the way, while he's looking at the next match, shout out to the guy across from us who's giving us Phil Light with his truck with his truck high beams.
Thank you, sir. And then it's pretty warm, so we're getting some diffusion because our glass is all frosted. We probably look like huge nerds because our glasses are all covered in moisture. Next match was the feel-good match of the night. Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus the Miz and Maurice. The battle of the married couples.
I was amazed at how into this match this crowd was.
They were hot for it, and they were hot for everybody. They were booing the heels. They were loving the faces. They were hot for Daniel, obviously, but they were like, Brie, Brie, Brie.
Well, yeah, we want Brie was a chant that happened over here.
Which,
like, Brie mode got a pop.
It did.
That stupid sound effect.
But it was fine. I mean, it was fun, but I don't really like fun matches. I like good matches. I love Daniel Bryan, and I think this is just what it's going to be with him from now on, where he hits a few of his signature spots, and it's just not as chain wrestling or as like responsive as it used to be. Yeah. It was a fine match.
The thing they're mastering though with this Bryan thing is the storytelling. Like the stories going into these matches. For this particular feud. For Miz, Daniel Bryan, they've done a great job building this.
Yes.
They did a great job organically working in the wives as opposed to just shoehorning him in there, which is what I was afraid they were going to do. Mm-hmm. But it actually kind of made sense to have the wives there.
Yeah, and Maurice was mostly not involved. She hasn't wrestled in years, so...
Yeah, but she was in... Brie didn't do a tope suicida.
She didn't do anything that was going to make her look stupid, which was good.
Yeah, because, man, that was rough to watch Raw a few weeks ago. But in the end, though... Miz and Maurice actually won this one.
Yeah, Maurice got the pin.
Yeah, Maurice got the pin.
She sort of did a roll through from a pinning combination that Brie put her in.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable match. It was a WWE style match.
But isn't it? I mean, sorry, I want to go off a little bit here. Isn't it a little bit silly to have married couples tag teaming with each other? Isn't that just a little bit like pandery? I don't know. While we were in it, I was remembering an improv scene I was in years ago, where it was a married couple that ended up being like a one-on-one basketball team, which is funny to me. But like a married tag team, unless it's no. Now I'm going back on it because I can think of some married couples out there that would make amazing tag teams,
I'm thinking you're thinking Britt Baker, DDS, and Adam Cole.
Britt Baker and Adam Cole would be an amazing married tag team, and if they leaned into it, I'd be like, "This is perfect."
Yeah,
so
Taya Valkyrie and
yes,
and Johnny Nitro, or John Morrison,
or
John Hennigan.
They're actually never mind. I'm wrong. I take it all back. There are some great married tag teams out there. These two are not. They're not great. They were fine.
They're great. They're great for the storytelling aspect. They don't quite have the tag chemistry.
And seeing the Miz wrestle live, it becomes very obvious how cautious he is and how it is what Daniel Bryan said. He's not a risk taker, and he's safe in the ring, but also a lot of his stuff looked like shit live.
But see, I don't feel that way because he gets an incredible amount of heat. We're losing our Phil Light, darn it. But again, he knows how to work that crowd.
He does.
I am like...
He's the best straight heel that they have.
Yeah.
He's the best straight up heel that they have. He's the, MJF is cribbing from The Miz.
Very true. Very true. That's who MJF reminds me of, because I was trying to think of who he reminds me of. The Miz is that guy.
He's like The Miz, except if it was like more frat.
True.
More upstate New York frat.
And that's coming from a guy having been on The Real World.
Yeah. But, in the end, it was what it was. If I could see Daniel Bryan wrestle live in front of me, I'll always take it. I love Daniel Bryan. I've been watching him wrestle for years, too.
And again, the crowd was participating so hard in this match.
They loved it. It was definitely a crowd pleaser.
Like they yesed when they should have yesed. They knowed when they should have knowed.
Yeah, they didn't need much coaching either. Next match was Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss. Lots of interference stuff on the outside in this match to help.
I was distracted by whatever the fuck. I don't know what Alicia Fox was wearing, but I loved it. It reminded me of I want to say it's Tina Turner in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Is that Tina Turner in that?
She's in that, but she definitely she didn't have a hat. she wore chainmail. Sorry, I've seen that movie a million times.
I know, but I'm just saying that's what it reminded me of, just because.
To me, it was Prince in the New Power Generation.
That's a solid reference too.
Yeah, like that was what I was seeing. That was an amazing outfit. If her gimmick becomes, I come to the ring wearing crazy shit, I'm in. I'm fucking in.
Yeah, and you know what? She got a payday.
She did.
And Mickey James looked like she just got done working out.
Yeah.
She just got done at the gym.
It's a weird. All their women stables are really strange if you think about them. There's no cohesiveness in look. They just wear whatever they want.
The Riot Squad at least wears the same shirt.
Yeah, well,
and the Iconics are both Australian, which is all you have to be for that.
Just be part of the same team. But that match was all right. I mean,
again, crowd was super behind Ronda.
Oh my God, they popped huge. People in Texas love Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I do find it interesting that they license music for her.
She's worth it. I mean, she's gonna make them so much money.
I was like, do you know how expensive licensing is? I do,
and she's worth it. Like, she's worth it. They wouldn't do it for anybody else.
Yeah, but I will say Ronda did a very good job. Although it's weird because she did a good job at this, but she's not a heel. But like building up to that armbar, like when she got it, like doing the anime, haha, now I have your hand, and look upon me as I'm about to wrap my legs around you, and pull it out of your socket. But wait, just let this face in. Okay, now I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, she's she loves Vegeta.
Oh, good point.
Like IRL, she loves Vegeta. That's like her favorite character, and she definitely like plays kind of a Vegeta face, like later stage Vegeta, which I think is fine too, because she needs to be a badass, and Vegeta's a badass. He may be kind of like, self-centered, but outside of that, he can fight. But it was good. It was a good, fun match. I didn't particularly pop for much.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I do like the because it's not a Samoan drop she does. There's the actual judo name for what she does, but she's been doing it with a flip, and it looks better that way than just when she like turns around.
Yeah,
but
they kind of roll through.
Yeah, I don't. There's a long.
It almost looks like a rolling Samoan drop.
Yeah, but then again, there's just something not, because the first time she ever did it, everyone was like, "That was a really unsafe Samoan drop." Turns out it's not supposed to be.
It's
safe.
Almost kind of like a Death Valley Driver too.
But also a bit like a Celtic Cross.
Yeah. And an angle slam in reverse.
Yeah.
It's good. I like her finish. I like her transition, her wrestling move.
Yeah. But I do have to a good shout. I mean, Natalia wasn't doing much, but again, I was watching Alicia Fox because it was hard to take my eyes off her. As like kind of a manager role, keeping like the facials were great, just like being engaged in the match was awesome.
She's good.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the final match. The bookend.
Okay, SeatGeek, we love you. Thank you for amazing tickets to these WWE live events and these pay-per-views. But we were at, not Barrett and I, but Brian, Biggs, and I were at No Mercy last year, where the room just deflated at the finish of Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar. this somehow, I have never been in a crowd that so quickly chanted, "This is bullshit." Because, okay, you know what? The match starts out promising enough. We get Mick Foley coming out.
Yeah.
Mick Foley, special referee. Awesome. Is Braun going to throw him off the cell? I don't know.
I was like, no, Mick, no, can't take any more bumps. He's 90.
He can't, but he might.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we get Strowman coming out, who gets a mix of pop and boo, more pop than boo. Then we get Roman.
we get the pause between Strowman's music ending and Reigns' music starting.
Yeah, you're right.
There's like a couple seconds of silence, and then people just start booing, and it was it's John Cena all over again.
Yeah, they fill the silence with boos for Roman, but then when the music hits,
the boos keep going, but then all the cheers start, and it felt like real 50-50 for him.
Yeah, so, you know, the WWE's right when they say that he is a polarizing figure.
Yeah, that's their nice way of saying we don't know how to get people over.
No, it is, but I'm just saying it's not incorrect.
Right. But that match was actually a pretty good Haas match for a while.
Yeah, for a while. Here's where it starts breaking down, because we have, again, a lot of shit. We get tables going through. We get a spear through a table, which I'm glad wasn't the finish, but it was really cool.
Yeah, there was some stair spots.
Oh yeah, the stairs. The crowds pop for the stairs. They wanted tables. They got tables. A kendo stick came out that Strowman ended up breaking over his leg as soon as after Roman hit him a few times with it.
That was pretty great.
And then Dolph and Drew run out, which is cool.
It's very cool.
Because this is followed by...
Well, you knew, like, as soon as they came out, I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's a whole nother tag team that wants to come out. And then they did. So we got Seth and Dean to come out.
Yep, they're fighting around the cell.
While Roman and Braun are just laying there, and Mick Foley is just like going, 10 minutes of that. But outside, crazy shit's going on.
Yeah, that was the thing. Everyone was distracted by what was going on. I was like, to not realize, are they just having a nap in the ring?
Because Seth and Dean and Drew and Dolph all ended up on top of the cell.
Yeah.
Just brawling with each other. Well, it was the two heels beating the shit out of Seth. And then Dean came up with a kendo stick strapped to his back. Started laying into him, and then there was like a double clothesline that I guess knocked out.
Yeah, Drew and Dean.
Because they're both huge now.
Yeah, Dolph tries to make his way downstairs, but as Dolph is doing that, Seth starts by beating him, but they both like start making their way down.
They get halfway down the cage where there's a sport, and I started going, okay, good, nobody's going off the top of the cage. I don't want that anymore. I'm too old. Like, personally, I don't want to see that anymore. And then they did stereo bumps through the announce tables that had been cleared off earlier. It was nuts. It was chaos.
Yeah, by the way, this was about 10 solid minutes of the entire crowd standing on their feet.
Yeah, it was
trying to figure out what was going on. Because, WWE, why did you make the cage red?
Yeah.
That was super obstructive viewing.
It looked cool, but it was hard to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure it looked great from inside the cage.
Yeah.
Like any shots I saw where they were filming from inside.
And it looked cool. Yeah, you know what? It does make the wrestlers stand out more from inside than just the gray. Regardless.
It made it hard to watch live.
It did. But the bumps happen off the cage. We got our two bump guys, Ziggler and Rollins, laid out. We got our Dean and
Drew
McIntyre on top, laid out. We got our two wrestlers that are in the match, Roman and Braun, laid out. We got Mick Foley just filling times, and then...
Oh, and then Brock Lesnar's music hits, and we think, oh... He comes out with Paul Heyman, and Lesnar kicks the door through.
Yeah, they're like, you can't come in. He moves the ref aside and just kicks the door in. I think this is where Foley took his bump, but I don't know.
I didn't see that.
I didn't either.
But yeah, again, there's one of those things I'll have to go back and watch. But I love he sets up the door and walks up it to get in.
Yeah, that was cool too. He's just like, well, this worked out. Boing, boing, boing. And then he beat the shit out of both guys, F5'd them both, and then left. And that was the end of the match.
Yeah, but we didn't have a bell ring, so technically the match is still going on.
Yeah, if there's no bell ring.
Is there a 24/7 rule?
Yeah. It was frustrating.
Yeah, because the crowd didn't know what was going on, and like JoJo doesn't announce like the ref has ruled this a double disqualification and no contest,
or that these two competitors can no longer compete. We have to call this a draw, which I think is what the finish is going to be. When we actually look it up online or watch it at home, it's going to be like, it was a draw because he beat them up so bad they couldn't keep going, which sucks because one of them was crushed by a trash compactor. He can't be beat by just an F5.
And they eventually did get up. Just to do the match. Like, again, that's why, like, we were staying there was because just the bell didn't ring. JoJo didn't announce anything. We just see, like, Corey Graves, Renee Young, and Mike Cole got booed because they, like, we just saw that they were leaving.
I saw Corey going, like, why are you booing me?
that was great. Because
you're leaving.
Yeah, he was confused by it. He's like,
I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then, as the show is essentially over, because there's no one announcing anymore, the crew comes out and they do a stretcher job for Ziggler, which may have been legit, who knows. And Seth got
Ziggler's job was kind of funny because Drew McIntyre just sitting there like also pushing the gurney a bit.
Yeah, he was helping. And that was the other thing too, is there were still two guys on top of the ring while all this other stuff was happening, or on top of the cell while all this stuff was happening with Lesnar.
Yeah, Dean. I don't know if Dean and Drew were just up there like, hey, so how's your day, man? And how's the family? Things going great with Renee? Oh, that's wonderful.
It might have been just like, we just shut up and trying to sleep. And they just climbed...
that fucking jet lag, mate. I don't know why I made Drew an Australian, but...
It's close enough. It's not American, not an American English accent. But yeah, they just climbed down, and it was over. So more stuff's obviously going to happen because of the fact that this was like a non-finish.
God, that was such a confusing finish.
It really was.
Like going back and describing this match, I'm like... I have less of an idea what happened.
I just feel like I really actually liked that match. Like, thinking about it, except for the ending, it was actually a pretty good Hell in a Cell match where they had to fill in the bumps with other people because it couldn't be Braun and it couldn't be Roman. They're too big. They'll die.
Here's what I would have done.
Okay.
Have Brock Lesnar go in there. F5, because he set up the cage door in the corner, like he was gonna do something with it.
And then it fell off.
And he didn't. Yeah, it fell down, so he like improvised. I would have had Brock Lesnar get Roman, F5 him, maybe F5 him onto that cage thing, get Strowman, F5 him, definitely use the cage on him because he's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
F5 him onto that thing. And have him land on top of Roman, or F5 him, put him on top of Roman, because Roman's the guy who took the belt from Lesnar. Of course, Roman would want to get revenge on Lesnar, but also doesn't want to help Braun. So, or F5 Braun onto Roman, and just leave so that there's a pinning situation there. 1, 2, 3, get Braun the title. Roman's protected because he didn't lose it clean.
Maybe they didn't want two finishes that had that same, like, an unconscious guy on top of an unconscious guy.
What? Yeah.
But you're right. It's not... There were more satisfying ways to end the show. I have the benefit of not being as invested in WWE as I used to be. It helps to not be as emotionally invested in the shows and not to watch Raw because I don't have the time. But even so, it was unsatisfying, but I don't think I'm going to be as bummed out about it as a lot of, like, diehard WWE fans.
Dude, as soon as this happened, people started chanting bullshit like this. As soon as you saw the ref start waving for the bell, which again, bell never happened.
Yeah,
but you see the ref like going no.
And then there's a bunch of refs coming in from the back, and it's like, well, obviously this match isn't going on. But why couldn't one of them get up and do something? Even if it was Roman, I wouldn't have cared. Like, if somebody had done something to end that match, because they're supposed to be the two strongest dudes in the company.
And this is Hell in a Cell. There's no disqualifications.
No, there isn't. And I don't think there should be draws either.
No, I agree.
Maybe they'll do another Hell in a Cell with Brock. That would be the only way I think they could redeem this. Is it can't just be like a three-way dance, like a normal triple threat match, or even with just any other stipulation. I feel like they've got to do Hell in a Cell next month or the month after with those three in there. I think it's the best way to make this situation work from the hole that they dug for themselves. Also, I love seeing Paul Heyman. I love Paul Heyman.
Yeah, make the next one an empty arena match. That way, there's no one to disappoint.
Oh man! Wow.
All right. Well.
Yeah, we should get rolling.
Yeah, we're getting to the end of it. So, overall, give your synopsis and give me the letter grade that you would give it. American letter grades.
Right. It's weird. I feel like I have to give it a WWE letter grade, which is different than like an overall, like comparing to the wrestling I do like and I do prefer to watch. It's not an NXT. I'm gonna give it a B minus. It would be an NXT C, and it would be like an Evolve C. But it was a good, entertaining show, which is what I mean. It's in the fucking name of the company. World Wrestling Entertainment.
Wow, man, I tasted the bitterness there.
I'm still mad. It's not a wrestling company; it's an entertainment company, and they did a good job.
They make movies, pal.
But yeah, it was. I give it a B minus. They could have done much better, but what they did do, I feel that was correct, was done well. Maybe it's the live show also. Keep in mind, watching shows live tends to make them seem better.
And by the way, we could have spit in the ring from where we were.
Oh, man, those seats.
Thank you, Seat Geek.
I marked out for those seats. Like, when we got there, I was like, these are the best seats I've ever had at a live WWE show. And I've been to a fair amount. Yeah, I was in the Impact Zone way back in 06. 05 or 06. Oh, man, my memory. Regardless, the Impact Zone is tiny, and I felt like I was just as close where I was to where I sat in the Impact Zone to watch Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle wrestle.
All right, so overall, again, the good things about this show, the crowd, again, the crowd was hot. The crowd was participating. It was great for that feel. The crowd was behind the Becky Lynch win. They reacted exactly how they should have in Bryan and Brie with not Ziggler, Miz and Mrs. I have to give it a C plus though, because I was gonna give it a solid B plus. It was gonna be a B plus because, again, that Jeff Hardy Randy Orton match, while cool, unnecessary to be in a cell, but again, it did add a little bit of coolness to it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't very happy with AJ and Joe. I was disappointed by that because of the potential there. But then that finish, the way you send the crowd home, because the last thing you're putting in people's minds as they leave is the crowd chanting, "This is bullshit," and that is unforgivable. So they give it a C plus. This gets a C minus for that. Okay. Like, this gets dragged down. This gets dragged down another letter grade.
I feel like you're a professor who read a paper and was like, "This is a pretty good paper. I'm gonna give it a good grade." And then you get to the end and there's no bibliography, and you're like, "Well, fuck! It's a fucking C minus now. Like you didn't show your work. How do I know you did anything?"
Yeah, well, it was like I'm a professor that was forgiving and then thought about it and went,
"Why would I give him a C plus, C minus?" Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of, maybe it is the investment thing. I don't know, because for me, that finish didn't taint the whole show for me, but it definitely tainted that match and how I felt walking out. But
exactly, and the important thing is how you leave people. Like, if you. Because you're gonna please some. If Roman walked out with the championship, you're gonna please a good half to third of your audience. Strowman rocks out, you're gonna please a good half to 2/3 of your audience. That finish left nobody happy. Nobody knew what to make of that finish, and that is an unforgivable booking sin.
It is.
So.
I think All In showed that you can have shows where heels win and you still give the people what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can just give people what they want, even if it's not the good guys always coming home. There's a way to make a show work. Maybe not on a month to month or week to week. Maybe that makes a huge difference.
There's a way to book it so that people actually feel like they want what you want them to want.
Yeah.
But like that's the art of booking. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining me. Barrett, plug all your shit.
Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at BDOT Tribe. I have a podcast called The Dark Knight Reads, where me and my buddy Devin are reading all of the detective and Batman comics ever written and talking about them. We're not very far in, so you can hop in early if you see this. You can follow us at The Dark Knight Reads on Twitter. You can just type in Dark Knight Reads in any of your, iTunes, Stitcher, what have you, and it'll come up, Podcast Addict. You'll find it. It's pretty good. And then I stream video games with my fiance, soon-to-be wife, Jen Brown, on Twitch. Jen Brown Plays. You may know Jen Brown. You may not know Jen Brown, but you should know Jen Brown. Jen Brown is a voice actor and an actor. Does a lot of stuff with Rooster Teeth, has a lot of fans. And she's very entertaining watching her try to play video games.
And I'm R. Felix Finge. You can find me on Twitter at R. Felix Finge. You can find me on Twitter as well as Frisco Flame, as well as on YouTube as Frisco Flame. You can find me on Wrestling with Regret. And you know what? I am still part of the family. I write Independent Wrestling Weekly, and I have a new show coming out very soon. I'm in the middle of editing that. I'll tell you more about that as we log off. But
by the way, I watched the Independent Wrestling Weekly recently, like the most recent episode.
Oh,
I loved it. I fucking loved it. I was like, I'm not gonna like this. I follow some indie stuff, but not all of it. It was great. It felt like a news report.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Brian and I both have a background in news.
It's so good. I was so happy because it just felt like a newscaster telling me about results of sporting events that I didn't get a chance to see. It was great.
Good. I didn't ask him for that endorsement.
It just occurred to me when you said it. I was like, "You wrote that? That was good."
Yeah. Again, I have another show coming out soon on Wrestling with Regret. And again, thank you, SeatGeek. Use the app. Get your stuff there. And also buy our t-shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/wrestling with regret, or buy my t-shirts at friscoflame.com. Peace out, party peoples. Thank you for watching.
Hell in a Cell!